With San Francisco wrapping up their third padded training camp practice, we saw Brock Purdy rebound, but we also saw nice plays out of second-year linebackers. So in this video, I hope to break down the entire team's performance. Initially examining San Francisco's offensive line, Aaron Banks was out today, which saw Ben Barch and Nick Zakelj replace him. San Francisco's other offensive line starters included Jalen Moore at the left tackle spot, Dominic Pooney at the right guard spot, and then Colton McKivitz at the right tackle spot. In one-on-ones, Dominic Pooney was beat by Jordan Elliott, but after being coached up by Chris Forrester, he won his next 2 reps. And the rookie Jarrett Kingston also had a nice rep against Kevin Givens. As far as the team portion of practice went though, it didn't go well, especially up the middle for Barch and Zakelj. They were consistently beaten. While Colton McKivitz did a nice job against Nick Bosa yesterday, he struggled both on one-on-ones and the team portion today. This is all to say, Chris Forrester continues to have a lot of work to do, and while Dominic Pooney looks promising, San Francisco needs to figure out Trent Williams' contract situation. I brought up San Francisco's offensive line first today because it really predicated everything that happened after, for the quarterbacks especially. For Brock Purdy, for instance, early on the day, he had constant pressure up the middle and was sacked numerous times. But when he did have time, he had nice passes to Chris Conley and even found Ronnie Bell over the top of Charvarius Ward. During his red zone portion, Purdy continued his efficiency on the day. He found Deebo Samuel on the slant for a would-be touchdown, and then found Ricky Pearsall working on Isaac Adam. Purdy also was able to hit Kittle for a 3rd touchdown in this portion. I would say a majority of Purdy's throws today came under pressure, but he did do a good job of finding the soft spots in the defense and then exploiting them. On 1 3rd down, for instance, Purdy saw the defense not covering some open grass in front of him, so he took it and ran for the first. Outside of Purdy, Brandon Allen had a pretty nice day. In the team portion, he was able to hit Chris Conley on a nice play-action pass. In the red zone, Brandon Allen was able to fit a touchdown into Ronnie Bell in traffic. Meanwhile, Joshua Dobbs had a couple of nice scrambles on the day, but also was sacked numerous times. If I were to give the edge to one quarterback in the competition for that quarterback 2 job, I would have to say today was Brandon Allen. Moving into San Francisco's wide receivers, perhaps the most impressive player today was Ronnie Bell. The second-year player has struggled with inconsistencies, but today he went off. In team portions, he beat Charvarius Ward and picked up a gain of about 20. Then he went on to beat Womack on an out route. And in the red zone, with Ambry Thomas draped all over him, he brought in a touchdown. Right now, with so many wide receivers out, Bell has a real opportunity to push for that 5th or 6th wide receiver job on the roster. He can further his case for a 53-man roster spot if he can establish himself as one of San Francisco's better return men. Outside of Bell, Ricky Pearsall probably had his best day of padded practice. One of his better catches of the day was on an out route where the ball was thrown behind, but he had a crazy acrobatic catch. Pearsall also scored a touchdown in the red zone portion of practice, where Purdy found him in the middle of the field in traffic. Deebo Samuel also continued his strong camp performance with a touchdown in the red zone portion of drills. Moving off San Francisco's wide receivers and into their tight ends, their starter George Kittle continues to look solid after recovering from a core muscle surgery. Today he was able to find his way open in the red zone on a quick out, and Purdy found him for the touchdown. Meanwhile, San Francisco's second-year tight end Cameron Latu lost all of his one-on-ones and also didn't get open during the team portion. Outside blocking, Latu has really struggled to develop as a tight end, and I don't know how San Francisco justifies keeping him over a guy like Braden Willis, Eric Sauber, or even Mason Pline at this point. Today against Malik Mustafa, for instance, Pline was able to get open, and even Willis had a pretty nice day. He won each one of his one-on-ones, but he did have 1 drop pass. Eric Sauber also looked decent, hauling in a pass for Brandon Allen. Moving off San Francisco's tight ends and into their running backs, Christian McCaffrey burned basically everyone he faced in one-on-ones, whether that be Fred Warner or D. Winters. As far as Christian McCaffrey's backups, they also excelled in this drill. Jordan Mason was able to beat Jalen Graham, and Cody Schrader absolutely dusted Tatum Bethune. If you were just to look at Cody Schrader's production throughout this offseason, he would be one of San Francisco's better rookies, and headed into this preseason, I think he's going to continue that, and San Francisco should probably move off a guy like Elijah Mitchell. With the Mitchell trade, I think you could actually improve your team by either getting a guard or a center from a running back needy team. Moving off San Francisco's offensive side of the ball and into their defensive side of the ball, their second-year linebackers had themselves a day. In one-on-ones, for instance, while Jalen Graham lost to Jordan Mason, he also had one of the better reps of the day against Kyle Juszczyk. Graham also had a massive hit on tight end Jake Tongas in the flat today. Meanwhile, San Francisco's other second-year linebacker, D. Winters, had a pretty good day in coverage, despite giving up 1 completion to Pearsall. He also was able to absolutely blow up a run for Jordan Mason. San Francisco's rookie Tatum Bethune did struggle today, especially on one-on-ones where he was beaten by Cody Schrader, Jordan Mason, almost everyone that lined up against him. Moving off San Francisco's linebackers and into their safeties, Malik Mustafa quietly had himself a pretty solid day. While he was beaten by Mason Pline in one-on-ones as I mentioned, he also had a sack on Brandon Allen. While Mustafa impressed early on in this training camp, having an interception and almost having his second, now with pads on, he's showing off his run support, and I think he's one of San Francisco's better safeties they have on their roster. But the veteran he's competing with, George Odom, has quietly had himself one of the better training camps of any player on San Francisco's roster. Today he continued that strong performance, breaking up a pass from Brock Purdy. And in one-on-ones, he absolutely shut down Cameron Latu. Meanwhile, Jair Brown continues to show off what made him good as a rookie. He's able to eat up a lot of space and is extremely communicative on the field. As far as San Francisco's corners go, it seemed like throughout this camp, they were really having their way with the wide receivers, but today was a little bit of vengeance. Charvarius Ward, for instance, was beat by the second-year player Ronnie Bell for a gain of about 20. And arguably San Francisco's second-best corner throughout this training camp, Isaac Yiadom, gave up a couple of passes, including a touchdown to Ricky Pearsall. And Ambry Thomas continued to look susceptible in coverage as he gave up a touchdown to Ronnie Bell. Even Diamador Lenore started out the red zone period giving up a touchdown to Deebo Samuel. One of San Francisco's better corners today might have been Darrell Luger Jr. He does a good job in zone coverage and also is aggressive in his run fits. Outside of San Francisco's corners, their best group on the defensive side of the ball had to be their defensive line today. In one-on-ones, for instance, Nick Bosa dominated every single person he went against and then had a sack in the team portion of drills. But Bosa wasn't the only player with a pretty good day. San Francisco's interior of their line was pretty susceptible. Early in on practice, for instance, Jordan Elliott was able to beat Ben Barch for a sack on Purdy. Nick Zakelj wasn't much better filling in for Banks though. He gave up a pressure to Kevin Givens, and then his man on a running play was able to fight off him and stop Elijah Mitchell. Newly acquired defensive tackle Malik Collins also got in on the action after beating Jake Brendel for a sack. The penetration up the middle today was pretty impressive considering Javon Hargrave was out, meaning Kevin Givens filled in, and he absolutely went off throughout the day as I was mentioning. Like Bosa, Givens was also able to record a sack during the team red zone portion of drills. San Francisco's second-year player Robert Bill Jr. has continued to impress me this offseason as well. He looks so massive compared to his first year, and his first step is as quick as ever. If he's able to receive playing time this year, I think he's going to have a lot of success. In a similar way, Evan Anderson's first step is absurd for being 326 pounds, and I think with a little refinement from Chris Geserick, he could have a major impact on San Francisco's run defense. He does a great job against double teams. But ultimately, these are just some players that stood out to me after San Francisco's third padded training camp practice, and I want to hear who you're excited to see going into this preseason. It would also mean a ton to me if you liked and subscribed, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.